welcome to the show. I am here today going to be talking about Test Drive Solar Crown. Now, I am a very big fan of the Test Drive Unlimited series. Unlimited 1 and 2 I spent many hours with, and as flawed as they were in certain places, especially TDU 2, I would still say they are fantastic games, and they are still very highly regarded. This one is bizarre. This one is flawed in many different ways, in ways I don't really understand how. It does do some things right. First of all, one of the biggest gripes with TDU2 was the cars drove like crap, to be honest. It was just about good enough that you could, say, let it slide. You could get away with it. It was still fun enough to drive, but honestly, the handling physics of that game were possibly the worst part about it, which is a problem in a racing game. And this one, it does solve that on the most part. This one, the vehicles are genuinely very good fun to drive. From the off-road buggy to the Alpine that I've had to this ridiculous thing that I am now driving around. The cars are fun. The cars are fun. You can slide them around. They're predictable in that you know what they're going to be doing. They're not erratic, nowhere near as erratic. I mean, this is with all the assists turned off as well. You can chuck it around, and it is just enjoyable to drive the cars. That was one of the things TDU2 got very poorly, and this has, on the most part, solved. I can't really fault the handling model. It's arcadey, but it's an enjoyable experience, just driving the vehicles around. The other thing that this game does pretty well, actually, is the map. Now, it is nowhere near as big as TDU1 or 2. I heard somewhere that Ibiza is supposed to be coming as a sort of map expansion. I don't know if that is true or not. I mean, the map isn't anywhere near as big. It's nowhere near as big as you might be used to, but what's here is good fun. What's here is thoroughly enjoyable. I mean, we've got off-road sections that we can go and, let's just go teleport ourselves over here. It's a decent, varied map. If you start having a map that's too big, it becomes too big, too open, and just very, very sparsely populated, and for me, that's no fun. I would rather have a map like this that's, not as big as the Hawaii map was, but what is here is really interesting to drive around. These dirt roads are good fun. This buggy is awesome. Some very picturesque stuff to go driving around, to go racing around. And yeah, I couldn't ask for too much more in that regard. There is off-road exploring if you want to really go. You can still do the, if you see a mountain, you can point your car at it and go and try and drive up, or your buggy at it or whatever, and go and try and drive up it. That is still very possible, much as it was in TDU2. But yeah, the cities themselves are interesting. The roads are good fun to drive around. The game doesn't shy away from having some relatively narrow streets and relatively narrow roads. Things like Horizon have tended to, have really big open spaces for high-end supercars, hypercars to make the most of. And this, it has that, most definitely, but it doesn't shy away from having some more intricate parts of the map, which is great. You've got proper windy, twisty, these sort of mountain roads, these dirt roads. Not probably fast enough to be getting 3 stars through these sort of speed traps. So yeah, map, fantastic fun. And there's an element of exploring to be doing. You've got these, you saw I actually drove past one. You've got these like little collectibles. It'll give you money and XP. You've got the speed traps to go and be doing. Yeah, I'm actually very impressed with the map. Where is this one? It's down there. Oh, there's a rock there. So yeah, the map is pretty good. The next thing that the game, I say, needs to get right is the races. And actually, so far, the courses, the physical routes I have come across have been pretty good fun. What have we got going on up now? Actually, you know what? We're going off-road. I wasn't necessarily intending this when I set out for this video, but sure, we'll go and do this one. Cross-country race, that's a sprint race. Sure, I will use the buggy. The buggy is very, very fast. But yeah, pretty much all of the courses I have done have been fun in their own way. There are some very technical, there's some very narrow and intricate little time trials, brilliant fun. Some much faster roads. As I said, much with the city design and some of the bits of the map, that the game is not afraid to be very, very intricate, which is great. One of the races I just finished before filming this was one that was looping itself around the motorway, and it was very, very, it's sort of you were doing hairpin turns as you're going off slip roads and onto motorway and all sorts of little intricate turns, which is really cool to see. As I said, a lot of times with these open world games where you start getting fast cars, the game wants to give you big open roads so you can take your hypercar at very, very high speeds. And yeah, this doesn't necessarily do that. There are those faster routes, but it isn't afraid to have... Where is that going? That's fantastic. Well, we were going to get to that point at some stage, but so yeah, the routes themselves, I haven't really found too many duds, even if they can be very punishing at times. Street furniture does start becoming a little bit of a pain. We're not likely to see that so much here, but some of the routes feature a lot of street furniture, and it will mess up your day, pretty much. It does have plenty of... It has plenty of collisions. It will slow you down. It will really hamper your performance. Now, that wouldn't be so bad. I wouldn't mind it so much if it was consistent, because sometimes you can crash through the railings and it not really do much, and other times it feel like you've lost about half your speed, and the AI don't really seem to interact with it. So the AI you're racing against, sometimes they get slowed down by street furniture, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I've seen an AI car ghost its way through multiple traffic cars when it's further out of sight. When you get closer, they normally interact with them. You know, the street furniture will be annoying. Not so much a thing on the... Oh, that's gone way too fast. Not so much a thing on this particular route that I've picked because it's off-road. The street furniture will probably annoy you. I don't know much about Hong Kong, where this game is set. A lot of the roads have these big... I think it's like brick central divider. If they don't have sort of the little metal guardrails, you have these big central dividers. I don't know if that is what Hong Kong is like particularly, but they will frustrate you as you are trying to get a good line through some corners, and you suddenly come up against those. You figure it out. Again, things like that are kind of minor. There's little frustrations, but it's things you can learn to work around. Unfortunately, that is where the good news ends, pretty much, with this, because everything that Test Drive Unlimited 2 did very well, this game does not. It doesn't do anywhere near as well. Well, okay, let's start off with the AI. The AI on Unlimited 2, the AI on this race have been shocking, and I don't know what's going on with them, but that is somewhat fitting. Unlimited 2's AI weren't exactly great, and the AI on this one are even... let's say even worse. I don't know. In fact, no one's finished with everyone's DNF. I've never seen that before. The AI are crap in this. Difficulty spikes all over the place. It has more up and downs than a roller coaster. The time trials are staggeringly easy, and the races go from being utterly impossible to that. The AI cars often don't really react to where you are as a player. They will push you out of the way. Sometimes, not all the time. I have had a couple of close races with an AI. I've had a couple of good fun races with an AI, but I've had a lot more frustrating ones. I've had AI, I mean, you saw it a little bit on the start line there. The AI's just kind of violently steered their way towards you. That can happen for no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it just likes doing that. Don't ask, because I don't have an answer for you on that. I've had an AI at some point manage to get itself stuck on the start line and spin around in a circle for a bit. They've got lost. They behave very, very strangely, which does make these races often aggravating and, I say, less fun than they should be. Because, yeah, the races are either piss easy or at an unbelievable level of difficulty. We're going to go and load up here. What are we doing? Daily driver race. Okay, sure. We will go and have a go with the Alpine. Now, this is the car that I started off the game with. So, yeah, your races, what are we doing? We're doing another sprint race. Sure, why not? Difficulty is a little bit of an issue in that you can't change it. Now, I don't know whether this is based upon how fast you are going, or if you win lots of races, it ups the difficulty of the AI you're against, or not. I don't know. There's not a setting in any of it as far as I can see. Now, the game might be supposedly wanting these races to be multiplayer, and we'll come to the always online bit in a little bit. In all my time playing this game, I have had 3 races with other people in it. One of which the game crashed. One of which was on the very first day I was playing it. The second one was this morning, and that's it. So we are going to be against the AI a lot of the time, and it's just incredibly erratic. I don't know what we're aiming for. I don't know, what I'm going to get every time I go into these into these races whether we're going to get horrifically cheating AI or whether we're going to get something that is actually going to be competitive or whether we're just going to go and have a cakewalk. That's frustrating. We're going to be a little quicker through there than the Mustang. Oh, it's fine, we've got a bit of understeer. We've made it through all of this all right. I mean, it's not great. That is something that I can live with to a degree, because at least the driving, at least the routes that we're on most of the time are fun. And if the AI are on their horrific cheat mode, then you're still going to get, well, you still pretty much get the same rewards at the end of a race. I say it's not all that much different to TDU2 in that regard, and I still enjoyed that game. Where we do start to run into really big problems is the progression. On this game, it's garbage. It really is. It is becoming a horrific grind fest. I mean, I'm not even at level 30 and I can see how this is going. It's staggeringly bad. The cars are very, very expensive and you get next to no money for completing races. Now, there are various challenges that you can do, which I have been doing to try and earn some, I say, bits and pieces of money when they come up, but some of the challenges are a bit ridiculous or are requiring you to spend far more money than you're actually going to be making from them. This actually has been a relatively competitive race. Sometimes they are relatively close. That wasn't a bad race. Again, another really fun road to be racing down. But yeah, so big problem number one. Certainly the money you earn per race is completely disproportionate to the cars. So here we go. We've just completed a race here. This is a race that I have done before. We will go through the little podium screen with some AI cars. We'll do a dumb celebration. I can't skip through this. This is just what it does. And there we go. For a 1 minute 46 race, we've got 2,500 XP, and we have earned 20,000 solar coins. There we go. Now, the 15,000 is just for finishing the race. I have all the assists turned off, so I get another 5,000. Essentially, for the majority of once you've completed a race, you're going to be getting 20,000 coins a race. Now, that might sound relatively okay until you go to look at the price of a car. Let me go and, for example, show you. The Cooper Works Mini. Now, there is a race, I think, is it this one up here? There is a race that requires you to have either a Cooper Works Mini or an Audi TT RS, a race I haven't done yet because I don't have the cars. Now, the Cooper Works Mini, I think it's in this showroom down here, is 700,000 coins. Now, remember, that race I just completed is 20,000 coins. A Cooper Works Mini that is needed for one race is 700,000 coins. That is an absurd amount of money. I don't actually know where the TTRS is. It's not in there. We'll come to that stuff in a minute. Where is the TT? Won't be under luxury. I might not even have the showroom for it at the moment. I swear I've seen it. Is it this German one? Nope, that was the German one I looked at before. I don't know how much the TTRS is, but I'm going to presume... it's over here, I would expect. 300,000 coins. That's still an absurd amount of money. That's going to take an absurd amount of grinding through the races, because that race there is one of the early game races. That amount per race does not change. The amount per race, when you get to later ones, you're still looking at 15,000 per race. I don't know if the later stage game races are earning you more money or not. They've got to, surely, because you know the latest ones, these are the latest ones that I have unlocked down here, are 15,000 credits, coins, whatever your crap you want to call them, per race. It's insane. I mean, this one's here, so you can get a first completion bonus for the first time you complete a race. There's a couple, I think if you beat your personal best time on a race, you can get a bonus as well. I mean, at most you're earning in these races is 30,000 coins, and that's a one-time deal. Everything after that, you're earning about 20,000 a race. So to complete one of these races, I need at least a 300,000 coin car for 18,000. That's crap. That's absurd. Now, you can be earning money. I mean, you're earning through these speed traps. You can be earning 30,000 coins for a speed trap. You're probably not going to be getting that very often until you've started getting the really high-end cars, but, 15,000 coins here and there. But it's so irrelevant when the price of the cars are insane. There's another race that I want. Well, there's a race that I want to complete because there's a challenge for it where you need a certain car. You're looking at 300,000-400,000 coins. I mean, one of these races I think I haven't done over here. There's this one here that requires you to have an Alfa Mito or a 500 Abarth. I mean, those cars are 50 to 70,000 coins, which is a bit more tolerable. But that's absurd. It's such a ridiculous. It becomes such a ridiculous grind fest to be able to do this stuff. I'm never going to bother doing that race necessarily. I love the Cooper Works GP Mini, but I'm not going to bother doing that. And then you get into an even bigger problem, is that the classes are woefully imbalanced. Like, woefully imbalanced. That's a Daily Driver race because we're over in this part of the map. But take the Mercedes that I was driving around at the start. In fact, that's where we're going to go to next. We're going to drop over here. Now, the Mercedes, I bought the Mercedes because I liked it. I like the SL65. It's not necessarily a very good car. It's a bit of a German muscle car, if I'm honest. It's ridiculous. This has a lot of power, astronomical levels of torque, and it's not great. It costs 1.6 million coins, and it's, well, not very good in its class. If you want to win these races, basically buy an all-wheel drive car. Every single class seems to have something that is ridiculously OP, and well, that's the one you better buy, because if like me you buy a car for fun, you're stuffed. If you buy a car for fun, you know what? We'll do a time trial, sure. You're kind of screwed. This car cost. I probably spent like 2 million coins on this car, upgrading it and everything. That's a lot of money, and I've only just about got 2 million now after quite a lot of playing. If your car is not very good and you're struggling with it, well, then you're going to, potentially want to go and buy another car from that category. The Taycan, for example, in this GT category, seems to be the absolutely dominant car. You want to have a Taycan. It is far faster than anything else. So now if I want to go buy a Taycan, I've got to go spend another 1.2 million and then probably another good few 100,000 coins to upgrade the Taycan to the point where it will be competitive. Okay, I can do that, I can just about afford that, but when I get to level 30, or whatever, I think it's level 30, where I unlock the next category of car, when I unlock the supercar category, I'm now going to have no money to buy a supercar. I'm going to have to grind for ages to be able to afford one. There is a Caterham that's cheap, that'll probably be relatively competitive. I suspect, just having a quick glance at it, having not got to it yet, the Huracan is going to be the one you want, and that's 2 million coins. So you are locked in, almost, to the car, whatever car you first pick for that category, you're basically locked into it. So good luck. Hopefully you've picked the right one and not picked one for fun. It's so ridiculous. And then the next problem you come in is with the XP. So I've got to get to level 30 before I can unlock the next series of races, and I have basically done every single race, with the exception of ones that require specific cars, which I don't have yet. And I think there's one race I haven't won because I've only come second, or I might have even done that by now. But I'm out of races to earn XP on. In fact, I don't even think I'm level 29 yet, and I'm out of races to earn XP on. So I've got to go back and play through the same ones over and over again. And it's a fixed race. It doesn't matter what event you're doing. It's like 2,500 XP or 2,000 XP, and you get a bonus if you beat your personal best, but you can only beat that so many times. You're earning tiny amounts of XP. There are a couple of other ways to gain XP. You can gain some by discovering new places, by going exploring, and all of that kind of stuff, right? That's all very well and good. But if I do that... Oh, I'm going to have the same crash I did last time on this track. No, I didn't. I actually made the corner. If I go and do that now while I get to level 30, what am I going to do when I get to the higher levels? Am I just going to have to continually repeat the same races over and over again for XP? I don't mind, a game having some challenge to it. I don't mind the fact that this isn't like Horizon. It doesn't give you 1 million cars immediately. But I also don't want to do the same race constantly. I believe that the game should... In completing each race, I should earn enough XP, or certainly winning each race, I should earn enough XP to move on to the next section without having to repeat anything. If I choose to drive around and explore to try and earn some XP, or choose to try and earn some XP in a different way, That's my choice. But the game should give you enough XP to get through it by just completing the races. I shouldn't have to go and repeat these races again and again and again. Wow, 1,500 coins for a new personal best down here. I will also go and show you the leaderboard to make a point. It has become my fun game, actually, of see if I can be the highest placed rear-wheel drive car on some of the leaderboards. I don't think I did very well here. But yeah, that has been the fun game. That's somewhat up there. Well done. You were brave. You did much better. I didn't do very well on this particular run. I've got much higher with the Mercedes at some other tracks. But the leaderboards are... In fact, this one here is one of the leaderboards I've seen with more... generally, in this category, it is Taycan, occasionally Continental. It's just, yeah. So that bit there's broken. The XP is horrific. It takes forever to do anything. And then I say the biggest downside, in some ways, is... you lose the atmosphere. You lose the atmosphere that made Unlimited 2 so very good. And I can't think of a better way to show it than with a car showroom. Now, this was one of the highlights of... And it sounds silly, and I appreciate it sounds silly, but anyone who has played and loved Test Drive Unlimited 2, the showrooms were one of the highlights of it. And here they're just crap. And I appreciate this is a little bit of a weird way of saying it, but it is true. This is the Ferrari dealership. Now, it is very big and very fancy, which is all very well and good, but it feels, I say not real. I know this sounds, again, a bit insane when you're talking about a video game and whatnot, but the great joy of TDU2's showrooms was it actually felt like you had walked into a plausible car showroom. They were a bit bigger. They had, ridiculous collection of unbelievable high-end cars and whatnot, but it felt like it could be an actual dealership, just scaled up a little bit for a game. This doesn't feel like it's a dealership. It's I don't know. It's something about it just doesn't feel, I say right. I mean, you could fit about 50 more cars in here, and the actual other slight downside is because these showrooms are so big and sparse, it actually shows how small the car list is. It's not very big. It's not a particularly big car list. I'm not sure on the total number of vehicles, but it certainly doesn't feel... It feels smaller than TDU2, even if the number is around the same. It certainly doesn't feel like there's a huge amount of variety, and this just... It's just not as compelling. I still remember the dealership that you walk into, the Ferrari dealership in TDU2. You've got the line of the cars and you can go upstairs and there's more up on the overhang. And I mean, this would be okay if only one dealer, but all the dealerships look like this. Every single dealership you can go to is exactly the same. It might be different colours. The Ferrari run is red. Who would have thought? But if we go off, Apollo is agreeing, if we go off over to this German one, for example, there's slightly different colours going on in here. There's slightly different visuals. It's basically the same, though. It's the same huge, big open space, which is just not as much fun. And then add on the fact that you cannot buy houses. Everybody lives in the big hotel. I wish I'd bought the Taycan. I regret my choices as much as I love the Merc. Yeah, you don't have you can't buy houses. And again, I have heard apparently sort of real estate owning houses is on the way for this game at some point. Fantastic. Okay, sure. If it does come in, the economy's still screwed. If your Mini Cooper Works Mini is 800,000, 700,000 coins, your houses are going to be tens of millions. Why am I buying one? What's the point in me? Because it's going to take so long to earn that money. This is the hotel bit. Well, you have a room here that you can't do anything with, and you can go into your garage. I've played this game for a good few hours at this point, and this is all I've got car-wise. I could buy a couple more, but by the time I get to level 30, I'm going to need most of the 2 million I've acquired to actually get a supercar that's going to be half competent. Yeah, there's a balance, absolutely, between a game giving you 1 million cars. Forza Horizon, for example, a game that gives you 1 million cars and they're all pointless and they're all worthless, and you're driving every high-end supercar within the first couple of hours. That's a problem, and while it is at least fun enough that you can do what you want, you can drive what you want, and you can have your own fun, that's not great. There is also a very big problem with a game that gives you so stingy resources that you have to grind out races over and over and over again. As far as I can, certainly at this point, however many hours into the game I am, there isn't a championship mode, so to speak of. you know, why not have championships where you have 3 races put together? That's a really simple thing. Games have been doing it since the dawn of time. Why does this not have it? You know, okay, there's lots of very, very fun routes, but they're always the same thing. Why not have routes that are, say, more restrictive? You know, have this race here, for example. Let's go into this race here as an example of an event. Okay, so this one here is for daily drivers and Grand Tourers below a certain power rating or whatever. Okay, cool. Why not have a version of this that can run as a Mercedes only event, or a German only event, or an Italian only event as a separate? So you could have this daily driver and Grand Tourer one, and then have another version of the event for maybe more money or maybe for faster cars that's using this same route, because then you can get more XP, and it doesn't feel like you're doing the same race over and over again because you've got a little bit more variety. And then maybe you start giving a bit more money so people can actually go and buy the cars to compete in these events. Sorry. It's such a missed opportunity in so many ways. It is such a huge missed opportunity because the driving is fun, the map is fun, the roads are fun, and everything else is crap. Never mind the always online problems that plagued this game when the game came out. You couldn't access it. Well, when it came out for the early access gold edition people, you literally couldn't access it for the first day. That's terrible, and I can't even understand why, because there's no need for this to always be online. There's zero need. Yes, it's fun driving around and there are other cars as you're heading about. Yes, it's fun, there are people walking around in the hotels and in the showrooms and whatever. And sure, you want multiplayer. Or whether I'm going to... You know, no one really played TDU2 very much for the multiplayer outside of free roam anyway. But yeah, you want multiplayer, but it doesn't have to always be online. I have had very little online experience with this always online game. I've not specifically seeked it out, but there's been very minimal of it in my game. As I said, I've had 3 races that have featured other people in them. I tried to do some of the ranked races and no one was getting connected, so I gave up. There's zero reason for this to be always online, and I don't understand why it was forced into it. The online portion isn't the fun bit of Test Drive. I think there's a wreck somewhere around here, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know why it was chosen, why that was forced into the game. There's no reason for it, and the only thing it's done is made it worse and made it more problematic than it needed to be. But it has a million other problems outside of those. The lack of progression, or the incredibly grindy progression that the game wants to force you into, is baffling. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a sad one because a bit like TDU2, there's a good game in there with flaws. The flaws in this one are almost weirder. It's very, very bizarre because they've got the difficult bits right. The driving's fun, the map's fun, the routes, the courses that I've driven so far are great fun, and then somehow managed to screw it all up in new and bizarre ways. They're not taking the good bits from TDU2 and then fix the bits that were bad. It is actually, and I think the best way to describe this one is it would be like giving me all the ingredients for a Michelin star recipe. You could give me the perfect ingredients, and I'm not a chef. I would have no idea what I was doing with them, and through sheer blind guesswork I might get little bits right, but on the most part it's going to come out crap because I don't know what I'm doing with it. And that's what this game feels like. It's got a lot of the right bits of a recipe in it, but it's been put together in the wrong way, in a weird way, and not properly, and what's come out the other side is just not very good. There is fun to be had, but there's a lot of things very frustrating about it, and I don't think it's going to keep my attention or thoughts in the same way that TDU2 did. It might work for you, in which case, fair enough, but and maybe there will be changes further down the line, but there's going to need to be some big balance adjustments for this one, because otherwise it's going to be one of those games I will probably play it until the point where I've completed it. When I got to level 50, got the hypercars and whatnot. But after that, I very highly doubt I will play very much of this one, because it becomes such a grind fest to even unlock one different car, that it's just not worth it at the moment. Who knows what might happen in the future in terms of this? You know, updates and so on are possible. There may be some big balancing adjustments that do suddenly make it considerably more fun. I will have to wait and see on that one. But as it stands, yeah, it is a real big miss for a game that did the difficult bits right and then managed to ruin the difficult bits with stupid secondary parts. Either way, that is going to be it for my video on this one. I might come back to this at some point. There may be bits and pieces done on it. Who knows? They might do a stream or something on it. We will have to wait and see. That though is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.